brief, everybody knows Dr. Renuka, but some small brief I will read out. Dr. Renuka Tergaonkar, Head Cosmetics and Perfumery Department, VG Vazay College, has done her BTech Maintenance of India. Presently, she is the Honorary Secretary of ISCC, Indian Society of Cosmetic Chemists, works on social mission of training and providing respectable positions to the visually impaired or challenged students. And she has also written a book for visually challenged in Braille on Introduction to Perfumery. I now invite Dr. Renuka to proceed her deliberations.
Thank you, sir. So today the topic for presentation is current trends in cosmetic industry. The trends that I'm going to discuss today is more from the aspect of global trends which are slowly peeping in through our country and which we are now slowly going ahead with. Today if we look at the lifestyle we are living today in India, we'll see that half of us always end up cribbing the doom because we always look at there's so much of competition around. There's always, we are running, we are on the go, traffic, no time, stress, anti-pollution products which are coming up, and microbiome. Microbiome is a new science which has slowly entered, which we will be seeing these products in the next 1 or 2 years in the market. Few are already there in the international market. The first and the newest, the current trend is microbiome cream, and where we are using the live bacteria to give us beauty potions, beauty benefit on the skin. So these microbiomes, actually if we look at the microbiome map, we can map the human microbiomes based upon, so there are certain residential bacteria and if we are able to regulate them, we are able to really tame them properly, we will always be young and beautiful. So that's how they work. Inhibition of pathogen growth. You can inhibit the other pathogens, the transient bacteria from growing on the body, leading to infections. They also work on enhancing the immunity, they also work on increasing the increasing the cell renewal rate from the skin, which helps in glowing skin all the time. They also regulate the cytokinin production, regulates the induction of regulatory T cells, which all lead to anti-aging benefit on the skin. So these are being used for anti-aging properties as well in skincare products with anti-aging benefits. So today this is cosmetics, and as formulators we know how difficult it is to really keep them the way they are in the formulations. So mostly lactic acid bacteria family called lactobacillus, they are being used more in the cosmetic products at present due to its anti-inflammatory effect. Similarly, they are also triggering the skin rejuvenation properties, and they are providing young or the youth effect. So they are reducing the damage of the skin and being used as anti-aging ingredients. Even there's a fragrance which has come up with the same, which is protect the uniqueness of your skin microbiome with our first fine fragrance concept. So the fragrances are also there on the similar technology where the microbiomes are being worked upon to help in reducing the body malodor. The next trend which is there is the superfood in cosmetics, where kale is the most common superfood which is being used. Kale, as we all know, it is something it's the latest superfood gaining widespread attention in food and drink category. And 2013 onward, it has nearly jumped 70%. So you'll see half of the product in the market with kale as beauty, and most of the products are there with kale. And kale has got several properties because it has got multivitamin aspect. It has vitamin K, vitamin C, then calcium is also present, potassium, lutein is there. So all these are being used to create skin nourishing properties. Even there is a kale nail paint, and that is used to provide, it has got kale extract in it. So nail paint with kale extract to provide the best benefits of superfood to the body. And we all know how kale is good for the health. Similarly, so one of the ingredient which is being used widely and being thought of. Nowadays, we have got coconut oil mouth. So you have to just take the oil, gargle in the morning, and that's it, which is helping for so you have mouth washes which are from the coconut oil. Similarly, superfoods are being used in sheet mask. Sheet mask is another category which has boomed up in last 2 years. And the oil masks are from various, you can see there is a whole range of food which is fruits being used. Vegetables are there, where cucumber is there. We have aloe vera, cucumber, pomegranate, strawberry, rose. So these are all from the fruit and vegetables. So these masks have also come up recently, and they have made a mark in the industry, with most of the cosmetic products being sold as people in China and Malaysia market are flooded with the masks. Second trend which is there is the detox trend, where tea is considered as a detox food. Cleansers, which are all aimed at providing the detox to the skin and hair. Similarly, pollution. If you look at the pollution, globally 8.4 million people are dying because of just pollution. And that is a big cause, and that's why a lot of anti-pollution products are there in the market. So this is, if you can see the pollution, the map is there. So exposure to particulate matter is majorly in the Asian countries. If we look at the map, this is an old map, and why I have put it here is because even at that time it started increasing, and now it has increased tenfold. And Delhi is a very good example of what there are other products, anti-pollutant products, which are available and being sold in a major way. Now let's look at innovation has happened. We have to provide them with the complete transparency about each and every aspect. So if you say a fatty alcohol or an ester, you have to be transparent about the role or how it will work. So that's how, with respect to the claims, the toxicity, the efficacy of the ingredients, all these aspects are being considered, asked for by the consumers. Similarly, the products which are being designed are also adding to the overall impact of the product. So there now the whole concept of the product, for the definition of cosmetics change, where vehicle and active are not two separate, but this pumpkin or coconut and orange, we saw that mask there, or kapua butter is being used, which are being used for creating the sensorial feel. So humectants, we are, rather than going in for normal humectants like glycerin, and from late 17 and 18 is herbal green notes, which are from the African species and wood like baobab or moringa and hourgrass. These are the fragrances which will be seen more in the coming year products, followed by sensual floral fragrances with products like poppy, or oceanic notes will be more prevalent, because these oceanic notes provide much cleaner impact with the consumers who are using these products. Similarly, fruit fragrances from peach, plum, these will be seen more, but there is a separate fragrance trend which is slowly coming up, and that is use of essential oils. These essential oils are not only being used from the aspect of fragrances, but they are being also used from the aspect of of the essential oils, which are mostly made up of monoterpenes, sesquiterpenes and phenylpropane derivatives, where monoterpenes are, since they are being less viscous and high volatile, they are being used more for providing the top note and as well as providing a beneficial impact of reduction of microorganisms on the body. Or sesquiterpenes, they are being used more as a base note as well as providing a calming, soothing impact on the body or on the face. And then phenylpropane derivatives, which are being used apart from, they are being used for increasing the blood circulation, providing the stabilizing effect. So this is a graph where you can see how, depending upon the higher level, and from exploring new technologies and the greater galaxy to artistic expression and spiritual reflection, this is why this color is there for the ear. But this color is also going to provide lot of innovation to the industry, where we will be seeing models with ultraviolet lipsticks, ultraviolet color cosmetics, which are coming up now with more of eyeshadows, lipsticks in this range. So this is the color for the year 2018. The product forms for the 2000 coming year, what I saw is what was existing in the market. Now these are the products seen more in the coming year. These are dry face brushing. So the products are more like powder products, which you just brush with it. This brush is there. If you can see, there's a brush. The powders will be applied on the face and will be just brushed out. So they are used to remove dead cells, cellulite, fine lines. So they are used more from the brushing. Face oil, body oils, nourishing oils and herbal waters. These are various product forms which will be seen in the coming 2 years. Oral care category is another booming industry, and till date it has been a very, it was on a plateau, but now the oral care industry is slowly changing with aspects like, this is a miswak tooth. We can see earlier neem twigs were used in India, but now these twigs are already available in the market, and these are being replaced as natural products. And toothpaste are slowly changing from the paste form to the powder form, or to the, you can see there are these pastes are there, but the pastes are just to be rubbed on the teeth with the help of these twigs. So these type of products are slowly coming up in the organic and the natural sector. But in the sector like normal sector, we will be looking at toothbrushes which are completely dissolving toothbrushes. So you brush your teeth, you put it in water, they dissolve, they dismantle. So these type of products are now coming over. DNA cosmetics. These DNA cosmetics, from the aspect of the gene sequencing which is there for providing for a particular person. Then the textures today that are being more used, as you can see, the lipsticks which are there. These are transparent lipsticks with flowers in it or petals in it. So these type of products are slowly coming up, where the textures are clearer textures. We are creating, or water from gel. So you take the gel, apply, it forms water. So you are washing your face with water. Gels do melt, but they don't form complete water, but here they form complete water. Then balm. Similarly, powder to cream. You get powders in sachet, you apply, they change into creams. Then balls that melts liquid. So you have these balls, just add it in the water and you get products which you can instantly use. So these textures are being created using gum starches, humectants to create jelly, lumpy textures. These are other textures which are slowly coming up in the market. The formulation, the trends in formulations are more about using natural chelating agent, natural antioxidants. Similarly, the cream bases which are coming up are with heavy feel, is more preferred now as compared to light feel. Earlier, in between, in few years, last few years, more lighter creams were preferred, but now slowly consumers are going back to heavier creams. and cold one-pot processes are in vogue. So we are not going in for two-pot processes where we used to heat the emulsions, mix the oil phase to water phase. This all the era is gone. We are now using one-pot processes, cold emulsion processes, cold processes are being used to create these type of cosmetic formulations. Packaging trends. Packaging has also changed. So if you can see the packaging, the first packaging up there, those are dissolvable packaging systems where you just put the face wash or the shampoos will come in those small blue packets and they will dissolve. So these are the kind of plastic packaging which is, so you use it on your hair, you put it in the water and they dissolve. Similarly, the packaging, more eco-friendly packaging, these are the eco-friendly packaging which are there. The pumps have also changed. The pumps are earlier when we used to press the pumps, the product used to drip out, but now the product just cuts off and you have the pumps which has a clean feel. There are no, generally when we see on the nozzle there is some product attached to it, which is a major problem when you look at the cosmetic products. So now with these clean pumps, what is happening is those, on the top, there's nothing, no residue remaining on the top of the pumps. Similarly, the more sustainable ingredients are being used for packaging material, then marble printed watercolor labels. These are the labels which are being used. You can see this is a lip liner where we have a twisted in the bottom where is a mirror. It has a mirror as well as it's a simple bottle, so it's a multi-usage bottle. So these type of packaging products are coming. The bottle shape has changed to test tube shape bottles are being slowly coming over because they are easy to carry and easy to keep. So this type of material, the trend is more towards these materials. Then one more trend which I should not miss out, as when Mr. A.K. Datta mentioned earlier that 48% of the market share is being, it is with the other companies. By other companies means independently owned business, which are also called as indie beauty brands. For Patanjali is a very good example which it started. It's an independently owned business and independent beauty is at the forefront today. Apart from that, there are several brands who are smaller in size and they are coming up, and the majority of these brands are trending to practice sustainability. They are using more and more of organic and natural ingredients to support communities. They are also supporting cause which is dear to them. And here what they are doing is they are creating smaller batches which are well curated batches which speak, and these are limited edition batches which are being created. That is how they are changing the market scenario and they are providing quality products to all the consumers. Though they are priced, the price range is also in a very cost-effective price range. So these type of more independently owned business are being seen over the years. Similarly, the retail space has also changed. The experience centers with lifestyle products are coming up, where consumers are engaging with the concept of living and doing, where consumers walk in, they take the product, they can mix their own ingredients and create a product. So this first store is already opened in New York. It is called as the Humanity First Retail Store. It is a humanity store. And the focus is more on experimenting with the ingredients and experimenting with the content of the cosmetic products. So bases are there and you can create your own color cosmetics, personal care products. And the concept of style and life is being mixed, where they are giving beauty food, brain food, mood food. So these type of foods are being mixed together to prepare the cosmetic products, and the customers are getting their me-to-do products which they are using it. So these experiences, so the retail stores apart earlier what we've been seeing today that the cosmetics are being sold through either through malls or through the medical shops. Now those aspects are slowly changing to the experience centers where you can choose the textures, you can choose the feel, the fragrance of your own product. Then the marketing is also being the current trends in marketing is do your own videos, where you can make your own cosmetics by mixing 2-3 brand cosmetic products, just mix them together and use your own, make your own cosmetic product. Similarly, the websites which are there, they are emphasizing on consumer knowledge about the products. So each and every aspect of ingredient, about efficacy, claims, everything is there on the website. And the marketing is more from the ingredient emphasis. So it's an ingredient-based marketing rather than a product-based marketing. Till date, we have seen products being sold as an anti-aging product or a, let's say, a face wash or a body wash. But now the concept has changed from there. The impact emphasis is more on the ingredients that are being used, and the major aim is on consumer education. That's the aim of all the marketing which is happening. So that is how, if we look at the overall aspect of the current trends, so today the cosmetic industry can be related to the vast ocean with several diverse streams and technologies flowing together to create the modern elixir of life called cosmetics. And before I end, I have not touched here one aspect of the modern trend, and that is about the evaluation of cosmetics. So before I end, I would just like to say a word about the evaluation aspect. Because of the ban on animal studies, we are now shifting. There are certain teratogenicity studies which have been validated and have come up, and these validated teratogenicity studies are being used to make claims for the cosmetic products, for which our speaker, she will be taking how they're being used, but the claims are being used. Now the claims have gone to the aspect of using the teratogenicity studies also, where the cosmetics come with these type of claims. So that's the end of the current trend. Thank you so much. Do you have any questions? Any questions?
Thank you, Dr. Renuka. In fact, my whole 2-3 pages are full with your notes. I've taken a lot of notes. She has really presented very nicely for the 5 top innovative trends, as well as trends in ingredients, packaging, cosmetics, retail space. I think she has covered everything. Thanks a lot. It was a beautiful presentation. I now request Monisha Malik to give a memento to Dr. Renuka. I now request Sunil to take over.
I'm pleased to welcome the next speaker is Birgit Huber, Deputy Director General of IKW. She's going to speak on safety assessment training as a tool to support application of cosmetic legislation, which is a very, very important aspect of the business. Birgit Huber has studied food technology in Stuttgart, Hohenheim, correct? Correct. Okay, good. Since 1985, she has worked for IKW, the German Cosmetic Toiletry Perfumery and Detergent Association. She started as scientific assistant, became head of the Department of Cosmetic Toiletries, Perfumes, Hygiene Paper Products in 1989. Since June 2005, she is the Deputy Director of IKW. She is a member of different scientific and technical working groups in Germany, in Europe. The German Cosmetic Commission at BFR, the Federal Institute of Risk Assessment, board of JPA, that is GAPA, the non-profit association which supports information network of Department of Dermatology for the surveillance and scientific evaluation of contact allergies. It is IVDK, Kholipa. She has given many presentations on international events on cosmetics. Furthermore, she has published in English and German magazines. In 1987, she received the Mason D. Navarre Award at the IFSC, the International Federation of Society of Cosmetic Chemists, which we are a body of, in San Diego, de Chile. So she's going to speak on the safety assessment, which is a training tool to support application of cosmetic legislation. I think it's an important topic which is very important for people who are in this particular industry, more specifically from the regulatory and more specifically who would like to export their products out of India and should really pay a lot of attention to this aspect of the business, which is very, very important. It gives me a great pleasure to welcome Bridget. Thank you so much.
Yes, good morning everybody. Can you see me? Well, it's a pleasure to be here again and thank you again for the invitation. Now the presentation, is it available? I have. Can you help me? I have. Okay. While we are uploading the presentation, yes, Sunil has already said it. It is of course a very important issue, safety assessment for the European Union. But for example, I was invited to give a presentation in Cambodia to the ASEAN countries because they are also applying the European or close to the European legislation. So safety assessment is a key issue and I think it will be a key issue in the future because a lot of other countries outside Europe are accepting the European legislation now. And furthermore, when I heard the presentation this morning, you know, I'm a little bit wondering, or I think a safety assessor will have to have much more. Yes, thank you. Thank you. Will have to have maybe much more open questions in the future, because in the past it was the main issue was about chemicals. And the chemical is easy, more or less. You know we have some impurities. But the plants, good luck. I mean, it is not, we all know, I mean, we have been involved in henna, and I'm sorry, I was not in agreement with your presentation, because especially on hair dyes, we know that there is a publication from the European Union about hair dyes. Maybe you know there will be a positive list of hair dyes, and the European Commission has published that the hair dyes in the EU are the safest ingredients of the world. So that is something. So, and we all know that, for example, we have some difficulties with some plant. We expect the positive list coming, and there is not one single plant ingredient on that hair dye list. So I'm really looking. So we know for the moment we have walnut or we have henna, but for the moment both ingredients are not on the list. So if the European positive list will come up, we will get rid of all the hair dyes, the natural hair dyes ingredients. So that is a side information, but I'm happy to discuss that further. Now, about safety assessment, here we are. Well, as I have said, there is the safety requirement which is written in the European legislation, and it is important. And what is very, very important as well is that you should know it's not only the product, it's also the presentation. If a safety assessor is sitting in his office looking at the formula and says, oh, this is a nice cream, great, and then marketing says at the end on the claim like, well, it's anti-allergic, then it is the responsibility of the safety assessor. You know, so safety assessment is more. It's also the presentation, it's the labeling, everything else, not only about the ingredients. Well, and the requirement, what we have in the European Union is that what they call a product information file should be kept. I know you don't have to have that here, but it is a good system to establish a sort of structure within your company. You know, that you see, I need a lot of information to demonstrate the safety of my product. Well, and here is what I mean. It's a description of the product, the manufacturing method, the cosmetic product safety report, the proof of the effect claimed. Of course, only those where products are, you don't have to prove that your lipstick colors the lips. But if you have an anti-aging claim, you have to make sure that it works. Well, and the animal testing story is, we could give a separate presentation about that. And I was a little bit concerned when I heard that, you know, there are teratogenicity studies done to make claims on the products. You know, I mean, nobody wants to make an animal test. I mean, that's clear. If we have alternative methods, we use the alternative methods. And we would love to use the alternative methods. We have some areas where we don't have alternative methods yet, which we are facing, but I mean, nobody wants to make an animal test if not necessary. It's more, it takes longer, it's more cost intensive, so we have to avoid it wherever possible. Well, and what we call the PIF has the documentation, what I have said, and it enables to demonstrate, to fulfill all the legal requirements. And in the European Union, it must be set up and kept individual for each product, so there has to be one for each product. And of course, it's the intellectual responsibility of the company, and it should be shown to the competent authorities upon request at the address given on the packaging. Now, this means when you're an Indian company, you bring your products into Europe, you have to have an address, an European address. This might be a problem if you have, I know a lot of Indian companies have an English address. You have to think about the Brexit, and you have to have at least another address, because that is clear now. You know, we don't know yet what will happen with the Brexit. That is another presentation. But we don't know what will happen. But what is clear now is that you should have another address in the European Union to make sure that it will go on, and you can go on selling. So now the tasks and qualifications of a safety assessor. Well, prepare the safety assessment in accordance with the legal requirement. Well, we have safety assessors that have never heard about the cosmetic legislation. If you hire a safety assessor and he or she has never heard about it, you should either train her or look for somebody else. They should know the raw material data. I will come to that later, but maybe I can talk about it now. This is a big problem. We have a big discrepancy between safety assessors which are working in the company and outside safety assessors. The safety assessors in the company, they usually have access to all the information. So if a new raw material comes, ideally, it goes to the safety assessor. And he says to the R&D people, okay, you can use this ingredient 3% in rinse-off and 1.5% in non-rinse. Then it's clear message. And then R&D knows what to do. In cases of outside safety assessors, it happens very often that the companies bring a finished product, which is finished, and say, can you make me the safety assessment? And this is, of course, difficult. So it is very important, if you have external safety assessors, involve them as much as possible. This makes it much easier. Health claims is important. Microbiology is of important. You know, there was also what was said this morning about the germs on the skin. Observation of possible restrictions. You can also use ingredients and have restrictions, but then you have to have a claim on a warning on the product. Observation of the market and resulting measures if necessary. My favorite example is you sell 5 shampoos and 3 people lost their hair. In that case, you should maybe include a warning label, you can lose your hair. I mean, in principle, I would change the product, but you know, so this can happen, you know, so, but I mean, well, market observation is very, very important for the safety assessor as well. Then what is also important, scientific evaluations. What is available on scientific evaluations? I had a product recently on the German market, and there is a position from the BFR from 2005 not to use this ingredient because it can have a health impact, and the company, the safety assessor has accepted it. And it's there. Well, the company has new data, that's fine, but if you don't have new data, it's difficult. Notes of guidance, I always say the notes of guidance for European, also for external people, the notes of guidance is like a Bible for a safety assessor. And the adaptation to the formulation changes has to be there, and new scientific evidence. And I have mentioned here the safetyassessor.info page where you can get all the information and find all the details. Well, that is what a safety assessor has to do. Now, what is the qualification? We had a lot of discussion about the qualification of the safety assessor. And the law says it has to be by a person in possession a diploma or formal qualification on completion of a university course in pharmacy, toxicology, medicine, or a similar discipline. Well, what is a similar discipline? I'm here with the Society of Chemists, so chemistry is a similar discipline. But what we said is the legal degree definition is a prerequisite. You know, you have to have a diploma in one of them. But on a case-by-case basis, further specific knowledge has to be taken into account. Examples are dermatology, cosmetic chemistry. You know, for example, a medical doctor cannot make a safety assessment if he has no idea about the chemistry of the ingredients, knowing chemistry of the ingredients. So it must be the combination of all. And there is a need for further training and to be kept about the state of also where can I get all the information? What is also important is a safety assessor has to be independent. So he or she should report to the management. That's our recommendation, to make sure that, you know, if he or she is under R&D and says, I think you should not use this ingredient in higher concentrations like 3%. And if the R&D boss says, well, if you don't sign that, you're fired, what do you do? No, that's not possible. And the management, of course, has to ensure that the work of the safety assessor does not fail because of inadequate equipment, or, you know, sometimes the databases to get access, they cost money. But I mean, that is a must, otherwise where do I get my information? And of course, he or she has to have the necessary resources. And that is what I have said already. The safety assessor should be involved at an early stage in the process. ideally through the product development, which means especially external safety assessments is important. And of course, the safety assessment must be updated and also according to new knowledge or according to new data, or if there is a reformulation. In the beginning, when we have started, our SME companies, they have started with safety assessments, and they have made a safety assessment also by our control authorities. And I see a friend Gita there, she has already attended, so if you know, it's 7 courses. And you know, well, and this is the details of the courses, and you see this is skin compatibility and sensitization, it's about irritation, it's a dermatological test, claims and advertisement, then they have metabolism, kinetic, structure-related, then the carcinogenesis and mutagenesis. These are the texts, these are the programs of the content of each of the tests, microbiology, which is of course very important. So the courses deliver the tool for the safety assessor to demonstrate the safety of a cosmetic product and its ingredient based on the relevant toxicological endpoint in advance, and then they may have 2 workshops and they discuss the seminar, they discuss the formula together to have more practical experience. And we have started that. We do it also in English. We have the seminar in Warsaw once per year together with the HPCI conference, so that is something we have started. I have to say that we know that there is a strong request for the courses, and you have seen there is only 35 attendees. We have about 15 persons who have gone through the English courses, all the 7. And what is very interesting for me is when I see them, for example, at the seminars, it's very, very important that you meet the other safety assessors, that you know each other, you know, especially for the seminars in Germany, we have about 120, 150 safety assessors coming. So they come together, they talk to each other. Have you ever had this ingredient? Can you tell me about this ingredient? What shall I do? Have you had this problem? How do you do that? And this is very important. Nevertheless, we understand that, for example, because we offer the course in Germany, it is a long traveling. For example, if people from South America or from Asia or from wherever want to come. So what we will do, we will offer the courses as webinars in the future. But we really think that it's, you can do it at home, at your laptop or at your computer. We think it's a good tool to help people to understand, but honestly, the personal meeting of the people is very important. So we will announce the first webinar, I think, in the fall. But presentations, it's in English and German, it's bilingual, so it's very, and you can also find the details on the website. Yes, and on 26 September we have the seminar for safety assessors, where they have in the morning the presentation. What is very important is we have the principle of pre-announcement from the authorities when they come and they want to see, and they have to say what product they want to see. You know, that is what we have in Europe, and that is what I really, really recommend, because otherwise you have a mess. Because, you know, in Germany, for example, we have the system that they call and say, I want to come and visit your company and I want to see the product information file from the shampoo number 7. And then, okay, and then they come, and during like 24 to 72 hours, and then they come and the safety assessor is there, and then he or she explains the safety assessment and the PIF to the authority. This is very, very important. Otherwise they stand there, you have to, you know, it's difficult, and then nobody's in there to discuss it with them, then they have a lot of questions, they come back. So it's very, try to, wherever possible, try to have something like that, because that is important, and not to send it around. Sorry, the product information file and the safety assessment is the company's knowledge, You cannot send it around all over the world, you know, and this is what they have to understand. That is all we know, and we have. And this is the intelligence of my products. If I send it around, you know, I don't know where it ends up. And then the competitor...
International companies are doing it, but this could also help eventually the Indian companies who want to get their products across in Europe, where they have to, you know, make sure that they have all these legislations in place and all these assessments which are very, very important in place also. One comment to the comment which Dr. A.K. Datta and you made on various products in the industry, the plant-based products, you referred to Ina and walnut, but this is something which is very specific to the regional markets. This is something which is very specific to the Indian market, the Ayurvedic market, the mindset, the religion, and so on and so forth. Every product has its place. That's why we have seen a growth like Patanjali here. And of course, we know that the rules are far more strict when it comes to Europe in terms of regulations and all. So we respect both the industries, both the places, what we are. But the bottom line is that there is a place for everybody in the marketplace, and I think we should sell more to get more. Yeah. So you know, it's one view, another view, and we respect all the views here which are shown, and they have importance in each of this marketplace, which is very important for all of us to know. A very interesting presentation by her, but very difficult topic to present. Yeah. And very important to understand the nitty-gritties of it, because people sometimes make a statement, as you said, this test I don't need it, but do you really know what an AIMS test is? That's the question, you know. And how many of us can honestly answer that is another question. Thank you so much. It was really wonderful. With this presentation, we break for lunch. The lunch for all the delegates is here. It's a packed lunch. It's a complimentary lunch. And then we come back for the post-lunch session, which will start hopefully on time because we're already running a little late. Yeah. Thank you so much.
Good afternoon, everyone. We will be starting with the second session on stem cell cosmetics and other. Few more people joining us? Okay, fine. So welcome you back. I understand completely that once you go in the exhibition, you tend to get lost. But still, we'll start with our second session. For our next session, we have Dr. Mathen.
Pluripotent will be like these embryonic stem cells which form the... Anyway. So the other cell that I was talking about, these iPSCs, they are produced in the lab. So in Italy actually, he was new skin. In fact, such children, I mean it's a fatally, it could be a potentially fatal condition. The youngest donor probably would be in his 20s. So if you compare the stems from that source, compared to the stem cells you get from a newborn, so that means grafting. But minimum manipulation is where, for example, the doctor would withdraw a bone marrow sample, just inject it at room temperature in a bottle. No, right? Same thing in vials. So even when we cryopreserve it or, freeze cells, so we do it at almost minus 200 Celsius in liquid nitrogen. So the same NRAS, so if somebody tells you no, it's not allowed, it is being allowed. CDSO is the regulatory authority, and they've actually shown us a pathway because this happened after extensive discussions, vetting, testing, and they've ended the guidelines. So their organs which has a high turnover, blasts which are part of the skin, melanocytes, it's not one single growth factor or one single cytokine. This is cell-cell crosstalk which is happening. So these are messenger molecules. So there are multiple pathways which are going on in parallel at the same time, and all these cells are talking and exchanging information. And this is what brings about a very normal and balanced skin and hair. So this is part of how do you characterize the active ingredients. So if you follow animal cruelty-free beauty, because there is now a global ban on animal testing, then you can very easily carry out in vitro safety studies, you can do cytotoxicity studies, you can reactivity studies. Then you've hit a gold mine.
Thank you, Dr. Caroline. That was really a very interesting BA from ISB Hyderabad. He has nearly 20 years of working experience across consumer goods consulting and services. He has worked for 8 years at Hindustan Unilever Limited, working in manufacturing.
Baby, it's not even walking, it's still a baby in the world of consumer goods. Number two is my perspective, my experience. What works for one person doesn't bring to me of being a successful consumer goods entrepreneur. The third is connection. The fourth is cash. All ideas, all plans, communication, brand, product, great product. Ultimately, if you're not able to watch cash, because cash is the fuel that makes this machine run. And if you're not careful about cash, then probably you're not going to last the journey. To summarize, and I'll go into detail of each of these and give you examples of what it means to be working along these 4 dimensions. First is customer centricity. I don't believe that we can be genuine and nice to them. And from the day we make money, we are here to actually create something special, create something valuable. So that's the first part. You have to give customers what they want. You have to tell customers in a language that they understand, which is number 2, which is communication. Right? If the customer does not like what we say or what we, even though I am an engineer myself, the way we are taught design in this country, there's something in that communication because it is paramount. Ultimately, yeah, sure, the product is in our hand, uses these colors only. The moment you see red, you think Coca-Cola, right? That is communication. You can't think Coca-Cola in green or blue or purple or whatever, right? That level to which they've sort of mapped your mind in red is Coca-Cola, blue is Pepsi. Wake up a child in his sleep, he will tell you, red is Coca-Cola as a brand. Somebody way down the line, the human being in that, you have to understand why he's saying what he's saying and what is important to him or her at that point in time. And building those human relationships genuinely, not trying to game the whole thing, but being genuine in your approach, it shows when people interact with you, right? So take risk. At the end of the day, cost of buying that packaging. What is the variable cost of buying that packaging? So at every pleading, or even, I'm not saying we have succeeded, we are still on our way. Even staying in this market for 4 years takes a lot of hard work and passion and dedication and commitment and long hours and whatever. But doing that without cash on the edge is what I say. It's fashionable these days, I know, and I've been investing myself for companies to be in the news for raising money more than anything else. Right? I raise $1 billion, I raise money, where you get it from, how much money you take. So I'll stop right here and did all my internships with Reliance Industries. You've built a paraxylene plant, you've built a PTA plant, you've built a Faces Cosmetics, sort of got to work on literally brick by brick, laying it up. It was always with me, and frankly speaking, after 4 or 5 years in private equity, I was getting a little bored. So I thought I need some challenge, some energy, some enthusiasm to do in life. So which is where I just one day just decided to bootstrap and start. So God has been kind so far. Yes, sir.
Actually, thank you for sharing your thoughts.
Very interesting, and the most interesting part I thought.
My face, I don't know what, just the way I spoke. He just said, yeah, sure. I had nothing at that time. I just went with an idea. Of course, we had some common, so about their brand in social talk. I would actually turn around and say people like us are at an advantage because we have grown up, or we are growing in that environment, openness. Any customer can reach us direct on WhatsApp. If you call our customer care helpline 730-331-6677, the moment you put your phone down, you'll get an SMS saying, beyond that, can't do much, right? Sorry, it didn't work out, right? It works out for 99 others, it didn't work out for you. Tough luck. Tough for me, tough for you, what can I do? Single thing, if you ask me what is the single thing that keeps me running and motivated, that was sorted. Then I have to worry about the other 3 C's. Review depresses me. Even one-star review, it will hurt me for a half a minute before it goes away. Initially it used to hurt me for longer, now it hurts me for half a minute at least. Why? Right. So it works both ways. To get good feedback is amazing. It puts that in your step. Questions? Sorry, brand? Negative feedback. You just have to be honest and say I made a mistake or it didn't work for you, right? The good part is today our negative to positive feedback ratio is like very healthy on most products. And if it's not healthy, we pull that product, quite simply, right? So only what is left is stuff that people like. Of course, there will be a 5% who don't like it, or a 20% who's neutral about it, 75% who are loving it. 75% is not a bad ratio. If somebody gets abusive, then we block that person. I don't like people using abusive language or generally putting competitors' names in this thing. I'm spending money doing that advertising. You have no right to come and plaster my competitors' names on this thing. Those I block and I hide. People are generally saying, I didn't like it. We say, sorry, you didn't like it. Tough. We don't hide any reviews on our website. Never. Jo hai, wo hai. If it is a 2-star, 2-star, 1-star, 1-star. And people, when they see all 5-star reviews also now they get doubtful. People are very smart, right? So there's no point in you trying to be smart with hiding reviews or whatever. They'll figure out. All 5-star, no, something's wrong. My daughter asked me, I showed her review, she said, no, have you put all of these yourself, all like 5 stars? Like, no, I haven't. This is genuine. Right? Sorry.
Hi. I just heard that your company is only 4 years old. So what was the success factor that you had that made your company at what you are right now?
Okay, I think it's all four of the above, but
Yes, so
really it's about product. It comes down to that. So what I like to say is marketing can make people buy your product. Your product makes them stick with it or buy it again or recommend it. Right? So what we call a net promoter score. How many, would you recommend this to a friend? That is the ultimate question you can ask to a customer. If you've shopped on Flipkart or Amazon, you probably get that feedback. Will you recommend this to a friend? Being satisfied is one part, liking is one part, loving is another part, going and actively advocating, saying, recommending, ye kharido to your friend, that takes a lot of this thing, right? So that is, from a product perspective, if a product is not living up to, will you recommend this to a friend measure, then we are not doing a good job, right? I take it very, very personally if something goes wrong, right? So that is the one thing. We are absolutely passionate about our product.
all right, thank you.
Welcome. But long way to go. So as you said, it's only 4 years. So for me to stand here and talk as if I've arrived is the last thing I want to do. And there's way too much ground to cover. And we're very, very, very small in the scheme of things. So I just, for me, it's a way to just share my experience more than anything else. Any others? Well, thank you so much for being patient listeners. I hope it was useful.
It was a very, very interesting talk. Thank you so much for taking us through the 4 C's, which are the pillars of Plum. And I'm sure all of us here might have learned few things, few aspects about values which are really missing and which are not there. But if a company like this, who's coming up with such values, I'm sure you are going to grow a way ahead, and we'll be very happy to invite you back here in few years of time, looking at so wish you all the success. I would request Mr. Sunil to kindly give him a memento. Very motivating. There are a lot of people who are here. We now break for tea, and we will get back again by 3:30 for our next workshop on texture creation. Everyone, we will now start with the next session. I would request everyone to kindly take the seats. So good afternoon everyone. We'll start with our next session, that is texture creation workshop. This workshop is by Mr. Kevin Yiwu and Mr. Ito Katsuki. Mr. Kevin has joined Nicole Chemicals in the year 2012 and has been an
widely popular over here. So the whole idea of cosmetics is to make oneself beautiful, okay? And the other part is to powder. So you can see, for example, the picture in the middle, for those geisha users subconsciously, okay, set their mood or their personality. So for example, what we're seeing over here, sorry, wait, can't use it, yeah. Of course, when we are using personal care products, cosmetic products, we want to improve our skin's health. But at the same time, in terms of appeal or interesting concepts, what I would say is manufacturers, okay, they are moving towards this direction. So to make more interesting textures to from the consumers. And over here, sensorial properties, aside from feeling, okay, I would say the smell, which comes into fragrance-wise, and visually, visual appealing. I have not come across this in India before, but just to share with you all, for example, in Japan, consumers over there, whenever they open the jar, okay, they would prefer to look at something like a cushion. Then is firstly, we have solubilized phase A, speed, like I mentioned, after 2 minutes of homogenizing at higher speed, level of clarity. It is again very easy to do, okay, and very suitable for beginners. But or emulsifier. And the person who is mixing now a lot of moisture. Then once the moisture evaporates, you can feel it's very powdery. So this is the very specific texture.
Okay, thank you very much. Clear moisturizing effect than butylene glycol, but less than glycerin. However, once we combine together with G2 to investigate more details, we checked skin, the spreadability on our skin. So we apply two different solutions on opposite side and just heat phase A and until this.
Memento.
The end of the presentation. All right, we are represented by distributors. So currently we are operating in you can also get a formula card along with that. And for more information, you're most welcome to come to our booth, okay, to have a look. All right? So, you present the first one?
Yeah.
Okay.
So hello everyone. Can tell me what is their concepts of beautiful texture? Okay. Then in China, as I have mentioned, they have seasonal variation. Oleochemists developed a sensorial emulsifier, texture flexibility butter, which is responsible for providing the unique properties to is created by reaction between beeswax and polyglycerol final viscosity. So in order to properly the emulsions created with Emilium mellifera, we recommend to add gelling is between 4 to 10. Then it is compatible with most of the UV filters, both organometric conditions and skin types, and it's from in vivo studies. So now the most interesting part, we will see the different formulations which we have developed with Emilium mellifera. So my colleagues will circulate the formulations. The first one is blusterizing texture on the skin. Next we have a cup remover. Now this is the serum formula we have developed with Emilium mellifera. Now you will wonder why serum 20 as the name being given, because this is the formula to demonstrate that Emilium mellifera can tolerate very high amount of glycols. So the total percentage of glycol in this formula.
Moving forward to our second emulsifier, Emulfree. This is the emulsifier, as you can see, with a cooling sensation. Emulfree creates an innovative texture with refresh creation of a unique structure called bigel with innovative technical and sensorial properties. A bigel is a dispersion of an oily within an aqueous gel stabilized by unique liquid surfactant-free system. The lipid base is the oil phase first, like gellify the oil phase, and then add oil phase to the gelled aqueous phase at a high temperature and with high shear of mixing. Usually we recommend the skin is left moisturized as if it has had a glass of green juice. So I'll give you a few minutes to see this texture. It also contains gadolinium radiance, one of our active, which stimulates skin's microcirculation for bright and dewy complexion. Next, in the sunscreen line is anti-UV refreshing bi-gel SPF 30. This is modulated for North American population due to their UV filter regulations. And we have the third formulation, which is Refresh and Protect bi-gel with SPF 30, which refreshes, protects your skin with sprayable sunscreen formulated with emulsion-free CB on application.
We do at Get4Say, but you know, the idea is not really to tell you what we do at Get4Say. The idea is that India has a lot more potential. When I started this lecture today, I said India has a lot more potential. And believe me that there is a potential for each one of us to grow at a very large space. The last one.
People from the other India. But in our 60th year as a free nation, the ride has brought us to the edge of time's great precipice. And one India.
So much about the textures, various textures that are really made using these type of lipid ingredients, emollients and such.